Oh, that is insulting. Red 2 standing by, all 4 lit and in the green. Welcome back to Donkey Kong 64. Last time was our mandatory fiasco episode. I always have an episode where something winds up going wrong, and that time it was the commentary. I wanted to talk about the many beautiful plants and animals in Australia, but I wound up falling short as I realised I don't know very much about plants. I am absolutely terrible with botany, and I'm absolutely terrible with actually trying to plant anything. I have what they call a black thumb as such. At least I think that was the term. I can't keep anything alive. Pretty much everything I've planted, with the exception of an apple tree, which is essentially a collection of spindly branches, but it survived on rainwater and grey water for 20 odd years and did somehow wind up producing small, probably not really edible apples over the course of its 20 years. Somehow I managed to get that growing, but everything else I've planted has died. So I don't really know a lot about the plants in Australia. I know we have a good variety of eucalypts. As I was saying, we have some ferns, which have pretty much been the same for millennia, basically. And if you do actually have a very good knowledge of plants, then you should be able to get a better understanding of the land, which is something a lot of European settlers really lack. That knowledge of the land and everything you could do with the Australian environment is a great trait of the Indigenous Australians. It's something we do a pretty crappy job of listening to, in all fairness, when it comes to looking after our beautiful country. Really a lot more we could do. I'm going to stick to Lanky for a bit, and I'll try and get as much as I can done during the daytime, rather than switching around a bit. It's going to make things a little bit erratic, but Lanky has something he can do at night here. But what we mostly want to do is to go over to the little area just off to the side of the mill. It is only open at night, that's correct, but we might be able to get some bananas underwater. It's either here or at the mushroom. Well, I was right, but they're Tiny's bananas. Lanky's are at the mushroom. So, Fungi Forest is really where things start to get a bit fiddly, but with a bit of sensible management, you can handle things just fine. Of course, getting that management is still a pain in the backside, so I suppose probably there's not really a lot of appeal to this area. It's big, it's beautiful, but it's just really the point where the fact that things are in this game are incredibly big starts being a hindrance rather than a help. Because you have some beautiful levels that are big but not too big in the form of the first 3. Frantic Factory just has some annoying vertical platforming, and the ever-irritating Donkey Kong Arcade. Gloomy Galleon is fairly fiddly because it's a water level and it's not that interesting to look at. A lot of stuff looks the same. Fungi Forest is beautiful, but the sheer scale of the level really starts to hurt. This game is definitely big and ambitious, but this is the point where it's too big and probably getting too ambitious, with all those fiddly collectibles. Nonetheless, we can make it through. We will make it through, and we will finally get to some meaningful commentary about Australia. I've talked a bit about the wildlife. We have so many interesting ones. We had a wombat and a echidna and a platypus as the mascots of the Sydney 2000 Olympics. Sid, Millie and Ollie, appropriately enough, the Sydney Olympics for the turn of the millennium. Wow, that one took a turn away. I was never a very good throw. In real life, I'm actually really terrible with throwing technique. I'm not very good at that. Can probably pick up a few things with DK. It's mostly just clean out each area as best you can in this. But yeah, lots of interesting animals. The kangaroo and the emu allegedly can't walk backwards. I'm not entirely sure if this is true, but at the very least, what is true is that Australia does sometimes eat its coat of arms. Kangaroo steaks are apparently pretty good. We have emus and cassowaries for our large birds. Emus, I think, are the second largest birds in the entire world. Ostriches are the largest, but emus are really not to be messed with. Interestingly enough, emus actually got to be a bit of a pest around the time of the Great Depression, the late 1920s, early 30s. So it was decided that there would be a massive cull of emus. Essentially, the military was drafted in to what was ultimately known as the Emu War. To give you a good idea of exactly how well everything went, the emu population was hardly hindered. That's right, Australia, technically speaking, Australia lost a war to emus. And emus are one of the less noticeably aggressive species in Australia. Sure, they could probably be pretty dangerous if they wanted to. But let me be honest, cassowaries are worse. Cassowaries are well equipped to rip you apart if they so feel like it, because they have really nasty spurs on their feet. We lost a war to emus. That should tell you exactly how dangerous and how badass a lot of Australia's wildlife is. There is, of course, the famous story of Azaria Chamberlain, the baby stolen from her mother's camping site by a dingo, and the subsequent court case, the fiasco that wound up coming out of that, everything that Lindy Chamberlain endured. Australia's wildlife is not to be messed with. Because even the stuff that is not immediately poisonous and dangerous can be incredibly rough if the mood takes it. Like, a wombat can be dangerous, for heaven's sake. Kangaroos can deliver some pretty harsh kicks. I'm sure there was a mushroom somewhere in it. It's probably this one. Probably the very last one I climb up. Which, of course, things... And even then, they were just coins. I thought there were bananas up there. Oh well. Suppose things are always in the last place you look, because why would you worry about looking anywhere else once you've found it? But, yeah, that aside, Australia does have a lot of dangerous animals, but they're all incredibly fascinating at the same time. Oh, we can only get there at night. Rightio, we'll have to leave that one for the time being and head back to the main area and grab some more bananas. Nice shot. So yeah, while this is an incredibly dangerous place, in terms of nature, it's incredibly beautiful. Even the harshness of the desert has some measure of beauty to it. There's really a lot you can draw on when it comes to finding interesting elements of the landscape. The soil itself can be a desert. We can fly up here in order to easily get to the clock, but you're usually better off just climbing it. With so much, honestly, having some sort of weird or interesting trivia about it in Australia being so incredibly different and having species that really aren't found anywhere else because Australia has been so isolated over the years. It's, as time has gone on and the continents have shifted, Australia has been incredibly isolated. It's just sort of its own thing, its own weird creatures, its own almost distinct biospheres and things like that. It is a truly fascinating country. And if you actually look beyond this place usually catches on fire and is full of snakes and spiders, you find an incredible amount of interesting things. Yes, some of it is dangerous, but a lot of it is rare as well. And I might as well jet all the way up here while I'm at it. Because once we do, we will be able to get into a bonus barrel. Oh, handle. There we go, into the bonus barrel. And it's teetering turtle trouble, which I should be alright if I button mash. Why did I manage to stop the music again? I don't know how I managed to do it. Whoops, down there, down there, down there, top corner. Well, this is pretty much perfect for my usual technique, the spray and pray. Whoops. Down there. Alright, we got a few. We're getting a few in trouble. Top corner, bottom corner. And down. There we go. Descending into rambling, but there we go. Australia has incredibly diverse wildlife with fascinating biomes, and it is 100% essential to protect that wildlife. It is 100% essential to make sure that everything we have is conserved for future generations, and I really do believe it is well worth listening to the Indigenous Australians who've known how to manage this land for years and years. They've known what to do. They've had all sorts of interesting techniques looking after the land and making sure they get their living from it one way or another. You really can learn a lot just stopping and listening to people, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I can be pontificating a bit on that matter, if I'm going to be honest. But I do sincerely believe that it's important to look after it. No! Okay, no fall damage. That's something. Where's the 5 teleport? It's back over this way, isn't it? That was kind of sad. Maybe that's my punishment for just sort of pontificating and talking about all this. All the essential need to conserve and protect nature. It's something I do feel fairly strongly about. We do need to look after the environment because, I mean, rough as Australia's environment can be, it's an absolute delight, really. It's fascinating, it's diverse, it's unique, it needs to be looked after, and there is something genuinely pleasing about the environment, just the way nature works. We can get some stuff done with Chunky and Lanky up here, so I might as well divert to getting that done. And even just the simple taming of nature in your own home with Australian plants like different, say, grevilleas, banksias, depending on where you are, the desert rose and the desert pea. Things like that. You can create some really beautiful native gardens. Australia has a significant amount to actually be proud of when it comes to looking after nature. Always be ready to look after, well, pretty much anywhere with all that beautiful nature. Can I get my shots just right? Yes, I can. Might as well grab that. I probably don't need the homing ammunition. Because we have a face puzzle. We have to shoot these panels once they stop rotating. And let's see. And there. So everything of Chunky's is after DK. And up. Back on regular shots. And there we are. That one is not too hard. And there is Chunky's beautiful face. Okay. Everyone's an art critic, aren't they, Chunky? Well, let's move on out of here and get the bananas with Lanky. So yeah, just when it comes to nature, I'm going to admit that I was a bit harsh sometimes on actually looking after gardens. For a long time, I didn't see the point. Because, to be honest, I had that very long streak of everything I planted managing to die. So I'm like, exactly why would you bother? Why bother looking after something that is just going to wind up dying anyway? I think I was wrong, because gardens are never finished. which is in some ways a bad thing. But it also has its positive applications. Where is that? Where is that? Oh, I went the wrong way, didn't I? Tank barrel. Yep, I went the wrong way. They're basically 180 degrees from each other, so we should be fine now. And you will also note that the Kongs actually changed their animations for the Super Simian Slam. The fact that gardens aren't ever finished as such actually winds up being a bit of an advantage in its own right. Because you've always got something to do. There's always a purpose. There's always meaning. And even just that little bit of taming nature, just that little something, can be so rewarding, make everything so worthwhile. It can just feel really special when you get that something you were looking to work on just right with a garden. You can customize it in any way you like, really, as long as it's fairly sensible and you have the right plants for the area. Whoops, this is a merry dance. As long as you get everything just right, you know what to do, you know how to cultivate the soil, you'll get things going a bit better for you. But you can really make some fantastic ideas when it comes to the gardens. You're bringing a beautiful splash of colour, hopefully some native plants, into the world. The garden is almost an ultimate expression of creativity. Because it's something that you make in your own way, in your own time, to brighten up the world and to add a little extra something. It's just your own little way of conserving nature, especially if you're working with all those beautiful native plants. It can make things so much better when it comes to urban environments, for example. If you've got that little garden space, you get something really lovely. You get a little touch of nature in the middle of a concrete jungle. You've got to be really quick on this one. Yeah, this one is really rough. This one you kind of need to save scum because to a degree, I mean, it was honestly actually this fast in the original version. If you wind up using the virtual console to save scum this one, I don't blame you because I think I might need to cut on this one because you either need to save scum or be incredibly good at guessing. Got there. It's not cheating if you pause and check where the banana is, because I think that was another one that was built around the lag in the game, so you actually have to use a few superhuman reflex tricks in order to get that one, and it kind of sucks. But we have managed to clear that. And as I said, as I was saying, when it comes to gardens, it's sort of taming that concrete jungle, making something look that little bit better. You're basically bringing a little patch of the environment into a tough urban sprawl, which isn't always the most beautiful. They're not really going for any sort of grandeur in architecture as such. It's always just functionality. It's almost a little bit soulless in ways. So having that little patch of nature can help out. It's good for your well-being. It does a lot for people. The more you can do with the environment, the better. And being able to have gardens, being able to have forests and places in which you can go for a walk. Places like that are so incredibly vital. Is this? Alright, we're not getting up there just yet, because we have switches to hit. We have to hit the switches with every Kong, and then we will make the cannons appear. Note that shots will wind up homing in on your respective switches, which is a fairly handy feature. It does make certain things that bit easier, but it can be a little bit fiddly as well. Now, let's see. Like I said, there's usually a time and place for homing ammunition, and sometimes there just isn't the right occasion for it. It will all depend. But yeah, having gardens and being able to go for walks in nature, very, very important, all things considered. At least as far as I'm concerned anyway. Because you want to be able to sort of have that little bit of well-being, that connection with the world. And I think that's what I've enjoyed most. It's why I said I like wandering around when it comes to going to the beach. I much prefer just being able to do my own thing in my own time, and nature is important. Being able to have that connection with nature and just walk around, have a bit of fun, take in the environment. To me, that really is essential. It's part of why I like going for my long walks each day. Just that little extra connection with nature and the world around me, to just have a look at things. I absolutely love the way the world looks after it's been raining. A nice cloudy day, with water running through creeks nearby, with the rain soaking into the land. It just feels lovely. And being able to connect with nature in that way, it's vital for me. And I think it should be vital for a lot of people, because we get to take time off from just rushing through the environment, as it were. Just rushing through to get to all those urban sprawls, to get back to our jobs. If we take one lesson away from this whole fiasco of the past 18 months, it has to be a connection with nature for well-being. We have to find more ways to boost our well-being, and connecting with nature is one of those. It's so important. If we don't take that time to connect with the little things that really make this world worthwhile, we're making ourselves suffer for no good reason. Lanky bananas. Oh, for once a decent shot. Now, of course, we do have to wind up getting all the way back down there, which means I think I can actually get Diddy's Kasplat if I work my way down. Where is it? What's the top part of the mushroom? Down there, perhaps? Yep, this is it. There we are, the footsteps behind me. And there we are, the first Kasplat for this particular level. And we'll have a few doorways to explore around here. You do wind up seeing a few mushrooms pop up along the way when the weather gets cooler and rain winds up affecting the various areas. We can head outside through here, do a couple of things. We have the Baboon Blast course just down there. And some bananas for Tiny as well. But we will wind up picking those up later. We probably should wrap up this particular episode, since I cut out a little bit, by launching ourselves into the heavens. At least this music is very soothing. Sometimes we'll have to aim for rings, in classic Superman style. Get a few automatic ones and line things up. There we go. We want to coordinate. There we are. Not bad. That's okay. Now, is it this one we need to go into? Or is it the one over here? Is there one over here? We wind up going back around in circles. Wound up going back around in circles. So we'll have to loop around and get to that first one. Patience is a virtue. Got it. Surprised I stuck that in all fairness. Gotta hit that ring. Oh, made it. And then... Ooh, I'm surprised that counted, but first time. Oh, it's Peril Path Panic. I thought it was going to be Busy Barrel Barrage. So, once again, we have to gun down claptraps. Animal cruelty. Like I said, they basically are dogs. Fortunately, I've been doing okay at this one. There's that shrill little scream. Been trying perhaps a little unfairly to show that off. But there we go. Another banana to wrap things up. And with that, I shall hop into the tag barrel. I'll probably get some bananas with Lanky, and I will see you next time. Until then, this is Red 2, returning to base.